is still the 9th of April 2024. Getting a little late start just because it's fun to do so every once in a while. I kind of title things a little bit today as being bitter and being salty and still being a little balanced. And, the reason why I can be a little bitter and I can be a little salty is we got two things here that I kind of have already commented on early in the month, and I get to comment on both of them exactly the same way another time. And, they're things that, maybe, just maybe, it would be nice if they weren't repeated. So the first thing, again, there's some nuance and there's some perspective and there's some, actual reasoning behind why things are done the way they're done. But the first thing is we have another call to action, another opportunity, another request from Upland to engage on Twitter. And it's another one that is not on the platform. It's not on our airdrop platform. So Upland makes this airdrop platform. The airdrop platform is largely about participation in some Twitter responses or some requests to engage on Twitter, and you earn points. You use those points to, they build up and they level you, and whatever level you're in is what's going to determine how much spark that you get at the end of this chapter. Well, we got some stuff that's happening outside of that system, so we'll get into that in more detail. I can reserve that for after the disclaimer, of course. And then the other thing that's kind of been a little bit of a suggestion, the question is let's get into it. Let's get into this idea of the season drops and how what we expect and what we get and what we've gotten and what we're getting, and if there's a balance or if it feels like just that something more could be appreciated. And I think I'm going to leave it at that before I get into it. And I have some thoughts and I have some realities to think about. But again, it's maybe something more, and maybe it's not exactly what I bought the second pass because the first month I was able to appreciate what was happening. Bought the second pass. Doesn't mean I'm not going to buy the third, but I have some thoughts about this pass drop. So important to get through those and put that out of the way. Bermuda terminal sales did happen today, and just because it's been a topic of conversation, and definitely is something worth clarifying, because there was a lot of hair that was raised. There was some, conniptions and a little bit of sputtering and questions and what's going on. And we have on the part of Upland a brand new, or the makings of one anyways, Blossom Season Monument. What is a monument? Why is it there? Why did Upland have to put this really tall building with a pointy spire in the middle of Manhattan? Well, we'll get into that. But that there is a reason. There is some thoughts. There is some things to know, and most of them relate directly with things Upland has already put out for us. So information that's already readily available. So before we get into that, obviously, before we start sharing screen and looking at announcements and getting into details and dropping some perspective along with some opinion, let's get the disclaimer out of the way. All views and opinions expressed by myself are mine and mine alone. Shouldn't be taken as game strategy advice. They don't represent the game or the team of Upland. Shouldn't be taken as financial advice. Any guests or contributors who we do have on, they do not have necessarily the same opinions I do at all given times. They don't represent myself, the goals of the Cafe Nightly show. They represent the game and the team of Upland. I love to hear what they have to say. It's a good perspective. It can and it should be heard for what it is, for entertainment value and as an individual opinion from a party, because it shouldn't be taken as financial or game strategy advice. Easy enough. And let's get back into it here. Of course, eeny, meeny, miny. Let's do the first one, and we'll jump around a little bit. We'll take a look at a little bit here for perspective. We just have to get over here for perspective as well. But taking a look, if you're over on YouTube, I always do share the screen. That's why I refer to direct articles. If you are not following along on YouTube, I do try to reference what the articles are, when they came out, and when you can take a look at them. So making it so that you can do your own research if you're not watching the video that might hold up or might might present some of that information here. Let me see if I can get this up in a way that is viewable. There it is right there. Here we go. Oh, look at that. There it is. All right. So over on Twitter, on X, formerly known as Twitter, I will still call it Twitter for a very long time because I think it was silly to change the name to X. It is what it is. Buy a property, buy a buy a company that has a name. The name's existed for so long, and that's part of the value of the company, or a big part of the value of the company. Then change the name. Is what it is. All right. So something special is making its way into Upland. Check out the Blossom Season Monument. Take a look at that. Take a look at that. Also, take a look at the Bureau. 6,994,398.56 UPEX. Yeah, we're pretty cool. That's there. Gonna blow that up. Take a closer look. Look at that. Ooh, ooh. And we can see all that UPEX right there. Ooh, good job, Upland. So, anyways, this structure, obviously, this is gonna be in the playground. It's in the playground because the structure is not complete in the game of Upland yet, but it is showing you what that structure is going to look like. That structure is going to be built. Again, what is the point of a Blossom Season Monument? Why do we have a Blossom Season Monument? Well, we're going to go back here and remind ourselves of some earlier news, something that does tie back to Frost Season, also ties back to this season, directly ties back to Blossom Season. Well, let's go look at resources and let's go look at announcements. We're going to go remind ourselves of Upland Racing Series. Upland Racing Series, we go and look here. We get those leaderboards. We can go take a look at these. We have these MPS ratings this season. So based on the performance of your car, again, not the series, the performance of your car, you might be in a different group here for racing. There is a kart racing series, which is fun because that really comes down to everyone racing the same exact stats in their car. And instead, it is the determinative factor of how they race and not just who has the best car. Max performance score is the new way that things are listed and things are going to be categorized. And the races are going to be set up for leaderboard stats and for leaderboard categories. But what we're all working down towards is the championship at the end of the season. The championship at the end of the season is going to be obviously just the Upland Championship circuit. That's what ends up going to the end. It has that race and has that finals, and those finals are going to be held on at the end of the month, that Friday, and just right after the end of the season. Championship leader for it, again, the top 12 are going to be part of that race. That race is going to be on the Upland Championship leaderboard. Is going to be again determined and put together for the race on the 17th at 11:30 a.m. PT. And of course, here it is. Here's the announcement. Each season's finals will unfold at an iconic Upland monument. This season, the Blossom Season Monument Speedway is in New York City. So there's that big monument they have to build. They build a speedway around that monument, and that is what defines this as a monument speedway. That's where those championship rounds are held. And that, what we're looking at on Twitter, on X, that is the monument structure for the Monument Speedway. We answered the question that wasn't that hard to get to the answer on. Luckily, and for a rarity, it's all right there. I'll spell out to us. So we don't have to worry about why is this getting built, or this is weird, or is there something going on we don't know about? Are they about to release a new partnership? No. We're just getting exactly what we're told we're getting. We're getting a Upland monument so that we can have a special racetrack in Manhattan. Easy enough, and that is one that is a much easier question to have answered than two of the questions I have immediately following. Let's take a look at my first question. So my first question, if I take a look here into our Discord, and I come over here into my announcements, and I go right here. Blossom Season Pass Week 2 drops are live. Remember, Blossom Season Passes are available in the Upland store and need to be burned to receive drop. I thought there was something, or I saw there was something very interesting yesterday, and I thought it was very positive. Yesterday in the evening, they tried to sell more passes, and they said, hey, come buy passes if you want to buy passes. You don't have passes. Today is the last day to burn to get the drop for tomorrow. Or you have to burn between now and 8 a.m. PT tomorrow. Essentially, just getting people ready to understand that if you want to get the drop tomorrow, buy it and burn. Period. That is good advice. Again, it's one of those things that people 2 hours later say, shoot, I missed it by 2 hours. So the reminder was nice. It was a good thought. I'm glad Upland's doing that. Again, I think that maybe they should have a cutoff at some point. Someone buying the pass at the end and burning it and only getting 1 week of drops. I think it's a little silly. But at the same time, if someone comes to the game next week, they see the cosmetics and they want to participate at the end of the season, I don't know why I should stop them. So maybe a declining rate, or maybe a declining price. I don't know. It just seems silly that they pay the same price for something that obviously has less value or less utility, anyways. But it is what it is. But let's get into the real saltiness for today. Check out the most recent drop with a quick reveal. Let's do a quick reveal. Pretty cool about these. I'm going to try to not do that. Let's take a look. So drops are live week 2. Blossom season, week 2. What we got? Ooh, the Serenity background. I actually like this. This actually looks like it is what it is. It is a Blossom for Blossom season. And look at this. A speech bubble that says Groovy Baby. It has everything to do with nothing about Blossom season. Obviously, the Blossom season badge, if you've got it already, you've got it already. You're going to get it one time during the season. It's going to drop on your first week of the burn. So you burn the badge the next Tuesday, the Tuesday following your badge. Your pass burn is when you get the badge. So that is something we've known about. That is something we've seen, and that is something we already know. We are going to see again. If you burn this week between now and next Tuesday, you are going to see a badge again on Tuesday and the 2 drops for next Tuesday. All right, so we have the weekly drops here throughout the season, and said last week, hey, it's steampunk, it's Blossom season. I thought the steampunk looked good, and I could complain a little bit about. I like Blossom season, and one of the big Blossom seasons that I celebrate, Sakura season. It is the cherry blossom season. We have a big cherry blossom season in the States here, the DC area, Greater Virginia area, the DC area. It's a big deal, tourism and all that. Obviously, it's a big thing in Japan as well. There's some other parts of the world that have, blossom seasons where they've got these trees and they're gorgeous and they're dropping blossoms all over the place and the air is perfumed and it's just lovely, lovely time of year. That's what I would think about when we talk about blossom season. Blossom season for other people could be, daffodils coming up through the ground and they're just open and crowning and there's snow on the ground and you've got the daffodils sitting there with a snow pile over there. Oh, that's lovely. I mean, that could be blossom season for someplace. So I like those things, but Groovy Baby, that's not Blossom season as far as I'm concerned. Maybe they're getting to like flower power and that's kind of the illusion that they're making, and flower power and groovy and trying this faux or false illusion to to the to the 60s and hippie culture. I don't know. I think that's where it's coming from, but to me that has nothing to do with Blossom. And again, if you wanted to lean into that and that illusion and say, hey, it's a blossoms, flowers, kind of like the 60s and flower power, then give me some flower power flowers, which we haven't seen. There was no designs that had flower power flowers. So again, I don't know. It just feels disjointed. Just like at the end of the season, unless we have some tie-in, the steampunk week is going to feel disjointed. It's going to feel like we had that steampunk week to help justify the steampunk ornaments, that we had those steampunk ornaments. And again, Upland is called them steampunk, but they are what they are. Call a spade a spade. The steampunk ornaments, they're going to be the ornaments for Blossom season. Again, I like them. I like the way they look. They're pretty cool. I'm not going to complain that they exist. I just don't think they necessarily represent what I would think of as Blossom. And I think that this idea of having a season pass is really about having an aesthetic or having some way to denote that this is the time that we are in. And if that's the case, and we're in Blossom season, it doesn't have to be flowers. Maybe Blossom season also conjures this concept of a little baby bird and it's in the nest, and we see it with the little tiny buds on the tree, and they are about to burst open, and we're about to have the new life of spring. Maybe that's what blossom season means to Upland. Maybe they want to capture that. But Groovy Baby doesn't capture that time of year, doesn't capture blossoms to me. I don't know what it captures. Again, maybe we can also say that the blossom season is the time of the year, and a lot of things are happening in that time of year. Just like during our frost season, we happen to have Valentine's Day. We happen to right at the end of frost season, like right at the end, like right before the end, as we were ending, we have St. Patrick's Day. So you have the shamrocks, and you know what? It happens during frost season. It's a stretch, but Upland wanted to make that point. Groovy Baby does not happen during blossom season, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe somebody has a different calculation than I have out there, but what I would like to see and hope, and again, ultimately a number of people, creatives on the part of Upland, who are coming up with what they want to see and what they want to do on these passes. I liked last season enough to buy this season's pass. I don't know at this point if I like this season's pass enough to buy the next season. I mean, it's kind of like uh, when you go and you tip for pick up, and you tip before you even show up to pick up your order, and your order is ruined, or your order is cold, or whatever the case is, and you tipped anyways because again, need someone put that together for you, and they put it in the bag, and they stapled it, and they hopefully took some care for it. So you put that tip ahead because that's how that's set. But sometimes you find out that maybe it was a wrong tip because they dropped your food on the floor, picked it back up, it's grease stained, and it's sitting there in a bag, and they expect you to go home with that. And maybe that didn't deserve as much as a tip as the time when you got there. It was pristine, and it was well taken care of, and it was warm when you got there, and maybe they put some extra napkins in there for you, and that was nice. And again, we just don't know what we're getting out of the bag. But sometimes when we see what's happening one month to the next, we kind of have to be informed by what happened in the previous month. And that's where I kind of am right now. Upland, give me something next week that excites me, please. That's where I am right now, I think. And again, it's not a matter of saying that it was a bad decision on my part to get the frost season pass. To get the frost season pass, like I said, I wasn't that upset with. But it's not like saying it was a bad decision on my part to get the blossom season pass. And I'm not saying that Upland gave us a good pass in frost season just to give us a less great pass in blossom season. But we can draw a couple inferences at this point. We can draw a couple anecdotes at this point. Are the two drops so far have been 2 items, not 3. We saw previously 2 or 3 items in our previous drops in the frost season. Again, we have a couple more weeks to get drops. I could have a week here later on this month, or in this season where I get 4 items. So I can't complain too much. I don't know what's going to happen. We haven't got any animations yet, which they're kind of interesting. We haven't got any of the animations yet. We did get a nice property card as of today that actually has flowers on it. So kudos. More power to it. I am right on and with flowers of all types. So that looks more like it's like a clover type flower, a flower that would be more akin to a clover. And I like it. I like that type of flower. Believe it or not, that is the state flower of Vermont, the red clover. So that's not nothing too surprising to me that we would celebrate that in blossom season. I got no problem with that. But I would like to see things that are more indicative of the season. I would like to see things that feel like they're higher quality or feel like more thought went into them. And we were intentionally putting this out for a season that we liked. And we were trying to be thematic about it. And Groovy Baby, exactly, God. It's very Austin Powers. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to put it out there. Why is Upland being so Austin Powers about it? But yes, it felt like it was a flower power allusion to Austin Powers. Groovy Baby. It felt like that was their intent, and that's what they were trying to allude to. But even if that was the case, you have to bring it together. You have to support that speech bubble with some nice shapely 5 or 6 petal flowers, nice large here, pastel or bright colors mixed together, large peony in the middle or large penny in the middle, I don't know, but I mean, it just felt very disjointed to me, anyways. Um, yeah, I'm very much putting that out here. I see some other comments coming in here, but yeah, I will, I will get around to that next one, and I think that's where we're going here because I don't want to go too deep on this. I just want to say this wasn't my favorite week. Again, we have every week of this season, and next week might excite me more. But right now, I'm monotone because this wasn't exciting. But we'll see. Again, I like the fact that I got flowers. Maybe next week I'll get flowers again. Maybe I'll get Sakura. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm not complaining to get Sakura, but I'm not going to complain when I get Sakura. So, Upland, take that into note, take it into your thoughts, and make it happen. But no, it is something I just want to see 2 or 3 items next week. I want to see some animations come up later in the month. I can't judge the season until I've seen the entire season. And again, I think there's plenty of room for me to be surprised pleasantly but sometime later this month, and I'm going to look forward to it because fingers crossed, I'm very optimistic about Upland in general, and let's see what these passes look like for the rest of the month. And yeah, with that little note here, with the little comment here in Discord about 0 level up since I started after all my effort. That's in regards to our very special and very exciting leaderboard or a platform contest where we're working to get some Sparklet through an airdrop system. And the whole thing that we're doing right now is organized around Twitter. So I get it. Upland's giving us missions. We do the 2 or 3 things. We follow, we comment, and we get the points for doing each one. And we have a multiplier by the number of followers we have and the age of our account and other factors, but not well defined. Those other factors, again, we have to keep some secrets in the bag. And I'm okay with that. I really am. But we don't know exactly the calculus of the formula, but we know different people have different numbers, and we have some feeling that age of your account is almost more important than having a broad reach. But we'll get into this. I'm sure later in the after chapter 1, where people can look back and say, I got this multiplier, I got this multiplier, why'd you get this multiplier? And maybe we can parse it out a little bit and try to kind of put a little bit of an idea or spin to it to some of the factors and how things worked out. But for now, leave it to say, I've got the multiplier I've got, and that's the multiplier I'm going to have until it changes. And I understand that. A lot of people have like almost doubled their followers and not seen any change in their multiplier. And if I were to really think about it, if I were really to have come up with this algorithm myself, I'll be honest with you. Changing your followers over a short period of time, that would be like 5-6 days, or that would be like, let's say, inside the entire chapter. The amount of followers you add from the beginning of the chapter to the middle or the end of the chapter, Upland has to put that, or at least I would if I was building this algorithm, has to take that with a little grain of salt. And the reason why I have to take it with a little grain of salt is because now you're incentivized to have more followers. Are you doing a follow for follow campaign? In which case the followers may not be as sticky, in which case some of those followers may be people's alt accounts, in which case some of those followers may be, let's say it, manufactured followers. It's possible. It may be your 17 other alt accounts. If that's what the case is, then maybe Upland has a point in not counting those that are accrued during this period of time the same way as ones that you've had for 2 months. Maybe they count the followers you've had for more than blank period of time differently than they count the followers you've had for 4 days or 6 days or 8 days. If that's the truth, if that's how that's working, I can see why they would want to do it that way. But at the very least, we can agree that I'm going to take the multiplier I've got, and I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to get the highest baseline score. So the followers that I have, so the duration of my account I've had, whatever multiplier that gives me, I'm going to get as much out of it as I can because I got as much baseline score as I can. And how do I get that baseline score? I get that baseline score by having a mission presented to me and available to me by Upland. So Upland has to make that available to me. I do the things, I get the reward. Okay. And I know they're Twitter based. Okay, so I'm going to participate in Twitter in a way that I haven't been participating in Twitter. I'm going to at Upland. I'm going to do things. I'm going to share with my followers and all of that. I'm going to take up room in their feeds. Good. I'm okay with it. I like Upland. I know what's going on. I'm getting a reward for it. Everything makes sense to me. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Let's go take a look back up at announcements today. All right, go up to announcements. Let's see what's going on here. And another one at everyone, a new task to get the word out on Sparklet to the masses. Here is a little post. Head over to X in the next 24 hours and reply to the tweet linked above telling the world about Sparklet. 2, be sure to tag at Upland and use the $Sparklet tag. 3, we'll select 10 people to receive 10,000 UPIX. It's that simple. It's that simple. So 10,000 UPIX, not a bad price. 10 people get it. That's a little bit of distribution. How many people are going to participate in this? Well, we've got a lot of people energized who are participating in the Sparklet airdrop. And I'm sure some of them are a little bit overzealous. They're a little bit overzealous. And Upland says, hey, Twitter. And they go, excited because they're thinking Sparklet. They think every time Upland mentions Twitter, they think Sparklet. It gets them excited. They want to react. They want to respond. And then you have other people in Upland who are already here. I'm already here. There's other people who have already been in the space who've just been sharing some of Upland's posts to get the news out, to get the word out, especially if Upland puts us on really excited. We just got this award. I'm going to share that on my Twitter. People who aren't involved in Upland, they might see this and they might say, what's Upland? Or they might say, oh, he's posting about Upland again. But that's fine because I chose to share that because I was excited for Upland being excited because that award means something to me as a member of the community because I feel like it's a validation and I feel like it could be supportive of the growth and expansion of Upland, which is something I am very involved in, or not involved as in I created the success, but involved in that the more success Upland has, the more interaction I might have with Upland, or it might differentiate or change my interaction with Upland. So I'm looking forward to growth and changes. So that is something I want to see. So I might be participating in Upland or with Upland with those posts, with or without a reward. Fine, that's where we are. But we are conditioning people to work and be sharing Upland information for a reward. We are doing this specifically on Twitter. We have this platform where you're earning Sparklet. And this is the second in a row, two posts Upland's asking us to engage with that aren't tied to the points earning method, that aren't working towards getting you some Sparklet, that Upland is saying, hey, Twitter, go do this thing. It just seems like, not that it's counter to, but it's distracting of. It's distracting people up from that. Maybe it's distracting Upland from that idea. Upland never promised how many missions we're going to have, how often they're going to be. That is not something that I would put on Upland because they never did. And I don't have an expectation that there's a certain number of missions or certain number of individual tasks are going to give us over the course of a chapter. That's up to Upland. And I started this knowing I didn't know. There was a little bit of a Q&A, not really so much question and answer, but more information with a little bit of question and answer at the end for broadcasters. When this first came out, I happened to be at work and I was able to listen in, but I couldn't jump in and ask questions. But there was an opportunity, and Upland made a concerted effort to give some information to broadcasters so they could help disseminate the information. And from that, I started out with the concept that there were some questions that were unanswered, and we didn't know how many missions were going to happen, how often, prevalency, how long people were going to have to do missions. We know a couple things now, and we know that we've had missions that have been up there or tasks that have been up there that people have had a couple days to do, and then they were gone. The one that's up right now, it's been up for a day and a half, 2 days, and it's not gone yet. I expect to see another mission come up, and then the one that's there to go away. Maybe if it's at the same regularity that we see so far, maybe we get a mission tonight or tomorrow, one or two maybe, and then we have a couple days on those two, and then same cycle. They get a couple days, new one drops a little later, the old one drops off. Maybe that's the cycle, maybe it's not, but we're down to 15 days, counting down to 14 days. So in this cycle, or in this, I can't call it a cycle, I apologize, it's what we call our totems. But in this chapter, we are a quarter way through. I am about halfway through, a little over halfway through, to get to level 1. Level 1, we have rewards. Putting out information by Upland between $5 and $10 worth of Sparklet is what you expect in level 1. I originally thought that I was going to have enough, and again, Upland didn't guarantee me, but I thought I was going to have enough opportunities to participate. I knew my account on Twitter is nothing fantastic, but it's better than nothing. It's better than an account started yesterday. It's better than an account that has 1 follower. So I figured, I wouldn't be the worst of the lot, but I wouldn't be the best, and I would participate, and there'd be enough participation for me to get out of level 1. And now, a quarter way through, I'm doing the math, and I'm doing one of these things, and I'm just doing the calculus. And if it doesn't change, and if I don't have a bunch more, and there's not 11 tasks tomorrow, and Upland doesn't get more regular about giving us tasks, I'm going to be, for this chapter anyways, I'm going to be level 1 or level 2. So that's what I'm looking at. And on this backdrop of this, or seeing that being the case, again, I get the point of doing it. I get the point of giving UPX and giving the opportunity of UPX. But the regularity today is the 9th, 7:14 p.m., not too long ago in the Eastern time. That's today. Let's look at the last one. Last one was yesterday, 1:40 p.m., just over 24 hours. So just over a 24-hour period, they can give us 2 of these participatory events. There are for UPX, so there are rewards here. It is helping the community. It definitely is getting more visibility for Sparklet, which I have no problem with. But they can give us these 2, but they've chosen not to give us anything in that same period of time for our opportunity to earn points towards Sparklet. So it just makes me question, again, Upland holds all the cards on this. They're trying to use this realistically, and they're trying to build this in such a way that it helps promote Upland, which is helpful to players. It's going to help people long term build the community, and I accept that, and it's going to bring new people in. I accept that, and Upland's going to do what's best for the building Upland. And again, there's splash effects for you and me, for other people, for Upland to be successful. So I'm on this board with that, and I will continue to be on board with that. I just don't know if this is my expectation of how much participation was going to be available in this platform, how much reward was going to be available, and ultimately, there is one other factor that I have to give for perspective, and that factor is there's people in Upland who are already going, I got flagged as a bot. And they got flagged as a bot because of the way they were using hashtags and the way they were doing reposts, and they were reposting similar content. And it does seem like it fits into the quest here. It does seem like it fits into Upland asking us to post these specific things, and they seem to be similar, and they have similar hashtags, and it feels like that was the behavior, and it seems to be the behavior, except I think that some of that comes into posting not just the first in the thread. You post the first in the thread, second in the thread, fourth in the thread, all the way down on the thread. You repost all of those. You repost some other things from Upland that weren't on the missions calendar, that weren't on the quest. You maybe post a reply. Somebody replied to a post, and you repost the reply. I mean, some of those, multiple behaviors and interacting with the same accounts and same hashtags, and the prevalency and the frequency that's done. That's what puts the flag up, I think. And again, I am not a analyst for Twitter in any way, shape, or form. I'm not an analyst for any security or flagging of bot networks or anything, but I could definitely tell you that some of that behavior is what flags it. I'll be 100% honest with you. I got a flag that said re-authenticate yourself, suspicious activity or unusual activity on your account. That was my Twitter account. And yes, I'm certain I'm certain it had something to do with the fact that I had reposted, not just reposted the Upland request, but a couple of the replies and a couple of the things that people had already reposted on Upland, and then they had commented, and their comment is what I reposted. So I see how that cycle, that circle, can flag. But then I saw that, I was like, ooh, pull my hands back a little bit, give a little more space on it, because it makes me nervous. But unfortunately, again, people they're real people. They have hearts and souls, and they have a beating heart in their chest. And I've heard them talk in voice, so I know that they have a voice and human breath in their lungs. But they still seem like a bot to Twitter, because they're trying to be part of this. They're trying to be part of the contest and the platform, the sharing Upland and being excited about Upland. And that's all good. That's all good. But we are working within the Twitter platform. There are people who've been flagged as bots. Maybe, just maybe, Upland's looking at the frequency and the prevalency and how often they can put these out, and what's the value for how often they put these out, and at what point does it start to look like bot activity. If it looks like bot activity, it's going to affect the way the impressions are set. It's going to affect, theoretically, it's going to affect the accounts that are being flagged as bots. So maybe, just maybe, they are timing how often they're putting these missions out, missions with the tags. Everybody going and kind of spamming those tags. Maybe they are trying to do this around what's good for your account, but more than anything, what's good for the campaign for Upland. That's just my perspective. With all the salt, with all the bitterness, I think that perspective is definitely somewhere where Upland is coming from, and it's definitely worth keeping an eye out for as we look at the future of the platform, the future of the Sparklet platform. And I am looking for the future of the Sparklet platform, because I want to make that Sparklet pile, as high as I can. I want to work hard to do it. Give me a 4 times multiplier Upland, which you did, and I'm going to do everything I can with that 4 times multiplier to make that stack, to make that pile as high as I possibly can make it. So that's where I am right now. I keep my eyes forward. They need to look at the average multiplier and make the level up a few times. I see what you're saying there, Zany Socks. I see what you're saying and your thoughts there. I get it. Yeah, I mean, I think they intentionally set the levels. This idea of level 1 through level 10. None of us knew how many interactions they were going to give us, how many missions over the course of the time they were going to give us, until recently, until the start. We didn't know how many points you're going to get for each action. We now know the points for action. We all know a little more about where most people are for multipliers. So we now know that. But I think Upland had this all planned out. They wanted to potentially give somebody with a massive superstar, giant, unbelievable following with an old account that's not brand new, and they've had the same followers for a long time. They wanted to give that person who was coming out from the middle of nowhere, who wasn't an Upland superstar, who wasn't somebody who was actively playing, who's maybe they knew about Upland, but they weren't telling their friends about it every day. And they want them to take those Upland post, and they want them to repost them and comment and say positive things and get everybody that they know involved in Upland, or at least excited about Upland, and maybe getting excited gets them involved. But I think that was what the plan was. And they had a plan that said that they, how many interactions that they thought was going to be beneficial for the campaign. And they know those things. And maybe they titrate things. Maybe what happens this campaign, maybe that's going to inform how Upland does the next chapter. Maybe that changes things a little bit. Maybe they set things up a little differently. Upland is very iterative, but as of right now, I think they had thoughts that they didn't tell us. And, the fact that it's been a couple days since our last mission on the platform, it shouldn't be a surprise, even though I had no reason to know what's happening. It shouldn't be a surprise, because from the beginning, I told myself, I don't know what I don't know about this. And that means that Upland could do anything, and I shouldn't have been surprised. So getting onto one or two last things here. Again, I do want to be optimistic and positive about this. I am optimistic and positive about this. And here's the real Goldie with a big old smile on his face. No tears, no salt, no bitter taste in my mouth. I'm excited about this Sparklet or Spark, or however you want to phrase it, AMA. We know it's coming. It was just brought up last week. Upland put it on their Twitter. We were told about it in the fourth quarter of 2023. It was supposed to be happening sometime in the first quarter of 2024. We kind of hinted that was going to happen around there, and we were told it's coming. So I'm looking forward to that happening the next week or two. I think that if it happens the next week or two, it kind of dovetails well. It kind of builds in well. It kind of gives us a little bit of a base to start getting some momentum towards Genesis Week 2024, where I think Sparklet will be a big part, will play a big role. It's going to continue to ramp things up when we talk about aspects of building the game of Upland, so I look forward to that. But the AMA is also going to define a couple things that I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see some future aspects and future utilities of Spark that we don't have now, things related to transportation. So keep your eyes out and watch out for that. But I just want that to happen. So I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. It's been advertised as happening sooner rather than later. So just keep your eyes out. That's one big thing that is on the list. Second thing is, I'm going to say it just about every day or every other day anyways. Genesis Week is coming. We did just close out on the 7th. We just closed out the opportunity for applications on the vendor booths, the booths at the Genesis Week at the in-person event. We will see Upland likely give us more details about those. The people who did apply, they'll get information about if they were approved or not. They have time to get in artwork for Upland to make the banner. And then we're going to have to get the next layer. We're going to have to hear about what is the hackathon? What are the rules for the hackathon this year? We're going to have to hear more details about, are we going to have panels? Who's going to be speaking in panels? What type of things are we going to have? What is the format going to be a little bit? Are we going to have a booth space time between this time and that time? And that's all building towards an event that is just under 2 months away. And doing these events and building these events out, I can tell you, it does take time. It also works a lot better at these events if you have some advance notice to the participants to say, hey, here's my schedule. The reason why advance notice is good is because somebody like me, I'm already looking at what else am I doing? If I'm a broadcaster and there's other broadcasters going, of course, or if I'm not a broadcaster, if I'm not an official broadcaster, you don't have to be official. But if I'm somebody who just wants to go and have a good time and potentially share with my friends, my other Uplanders, maybe I am somebody who is involved in a node. Maybe I want to go and do a live stream at a certain time with my node members, say, hey, it's really cool here. This is what's going on. Having the schedule right now, a little bit of a curriculum, a little bit of this is happening at this time. It lets you start making your plans while you're going to be there. So I'm not saying tomorrow, I'm not saying Wednesday of next week, but I am saying don't wait till 4 days before to say, hey, this is what's going on at Genesis Week 2024. And of course, the last part of that is Upland still selling those tickets, and they want to sell those tickets. It's good to give more information because there are the people who've been waiting, who've run on the fence, who maybe they were on the fence and off the fence and on the fence, and maybe they're back on the fence again. And what gets them off the fence is some more details. It's the things that they speculated on, but they didn't have the answer for. It's the things that they may not have had information on yet, but they wanted to. And maybe that's going to be what changes people going. The one thing that was an addition as of this week is we know Sparklet's going to be involved in some of the prizes at Genesis Week this year. Whether that gets you excited, I can't tell you, because my grain of salt on Sparklet is how much are you giving me and how often are you going to let me put in the effort to make those rewards? I guess I didn't lose that salt or that bitterness yet, but I think it will fade. I think it will fade because we do have the rest of this chapter to run through. We'll see how that ends up. And of course, if I get to I have a different expectation or I have a different result than my expectation, maybe the smile on my face, it will be genuine. And hopefully it will be. These people are tagging on X, have huge followings. Imagine their multiplier if they choose to join the drop. I think Zane Stocks, you're referring to these people that Upland is having us post on. I think that's true. I did already have somebody, and again, this is just by tangential crossings of Twitter accounts. Somebody who asked a weird question about Upland, just seeing a post or something, and they weren't involved. And I did reply to them because they were again tangential So they were asking questions about something that was associated, and it was, hey, this drop is going on. Hey, they have a big count. Maybe they participate. Maybe they have a good reach. Maybe because in the crypto space, the crypto community, maybe they're going to bring some of their followers or some of the people that they are in networks with into Upland. And if they choose to do so, more power to them. Again, they're going to get a lot more sparkle than I will. They have an older account. They got a lot more followers. I'm not bitter. I want to see everything or the community grow. And again, bringing in more people to share the message and get the information out. That's one of the ways that the community can grow. So I'll keep that open to keep my mind out there. And Zany Socks, you're absolutely right. They'll get a huge multiplier, but they'll also have more reach. And be honest with you, a lot of my followers are already Uplanders, meaning when I post something, I'm not really encouraging someone to join Upland. It's the person who's not in the community who comes in. And those people that they encourage to come to Upland, they're not already going to be here in the most part. And because that's the case, that's why somebody who's new to Upland, who doesn't have a 10-year experience in Upland, nobody has a 10-year experience in Upland, who doesn't have a 10-year experience in Upland, they're going to get the same treatment. They're going to get the same rewards as somebody who's been in here for 3.5 years. They started yesterday. I started 3.5 years ago. A lot of people started 3.5 years ago. It's not a small group. It's a lot of us. But those people who started 3.5 years ago, I had the same reward, same chance of reward as the guy who came in yesterday. But he might actually have a better chance. He might actually have a better chance of bringing new people in the game. Because again, I've already told people about Upland for 2 years, 3 years. That guy hasn't yet. He starts telling people. Those are all new, fresh faces. So looking forward to that. And for tonight, I do want to do a couple things and a little bit of a looking forward. There's 2 things I want to do. I always like to look forward to if there's bundles, if there's sales, if there is a cutoff or a deadline, or this is coming up or that's coming up. It's worth putting out there. So the Blossom Ornament bundles, those sales are well over, but we do still see that those are going and bouncing around, and people have the opportunity to do things here. I want to go back to Upland. Let's get back all the way back, almost there. Get Upix specials. Here we go. And I said well over, and I lied. I apologize. There are 77 left of the small Townhouse 2 bundles, and there's 149 of the Townhouse bundle. That's a full-size bundle. They are not fully gone, but for the most part, people have bought what they're going to buy. There's limited amounts left. That sale's been going on or has happened for a while. But ultimately, what's on the backside right now and what people are on is people still have the opportunity to burns. So these burns are still available. There's different combinations of these burns. Obviously, you could burn by color, you could burn by class, and you could get rewards along the way for doing so. There are some dates there for the cutoff on those burns, and we'll see those in a second. But we also have another thing that's coming up here. If you did go ahead and buy any of the bundles, again, you have had to buy them from Upland, you are going to be already captured. You're captured. It's a screenshot. You know that you participate. Upland knows you participated. So you are going to get an opportunity to take part in this Upix only sale. Upix only sale, rare. We haven't seen a lot of them lately. I'm glad we have one. Retrofuturistic map assets, these robots. Map asset is the UPX only sale. It is restricted to people who did go ahead and buy at least one of the bundles. So keep that in mind. Again, the Retrofuturistic Blossom Season map asset, you get one random one per purchase, 10,000 Upix each. The 15th at 8 a.m. PT to the 16th at 8 a.m. PT is a registration period with a sale period at 9 a.m. PT on the 16th. That's next Tuesday. That's 10,000 Upix. Pretty easy, pretty important to keep in mind that, again, it's going to probably sell out faster than some of the other sales we've seen recently because it's an Upix sale and people have been stacking that Upix and people haven't had much to do with it except for New City Mints, and not everybody was able to get to South Lake Tahoe. So maybe, just maybe, some people spend some Upix on these pretty flowers and robots. It's random. You don't know what you're going to get. You can get some flowers. You can get some robots. But here's the cutoffs that I wanted to get into people's faces. I want them to keep track because I don't want people to miss it by 5 minutes. Thursday, the 11th of April. Ooh, 2 days from now. 9 a.m. PT. That's the deadline to burn those block explorers. We talked about those block explorer burns. There's different combinations. Read this if you haven't had a chance to do so. If you're watching the video, nice and slow. Watch this. Nice and slow. Slow down your video speed so you can see that beautiful picture. All right, done deal. So now you have the details. Now you know what you burn to get what your prizes are. But all kidding aside, we've had the chance to go over this a couple times. Deadline to burn those block explorers 9 a.m. PT on the 11th. Friday the 12th of April, 9 a.m. PT. That's the deadline for ornament purchase to qualify for the map asset sale. So talked about that snapshot to get into that map asset sale. You have to do it by 9 a.m. PT on Friday, even though that sale's not going to happen until the following week, or the registration is not going to happen until the following week, to the following Monday. So with that noted, we're almost sold out anyway. So it was kind of a question when they originally put out the dates: is are we going to sell out, or are we going to hit that date? We'll see if we hit that date. And Wednesday, the 17th of April, 2024, 9 a.m. PT. Deadline for map asset purchases to enter the Bermuda property drawing. Oh, wait, there's more. I forgot to tell you. If you do get one of these map assets, either the flower, or the flower, or the robot, and the robot, you will be able to also have a chance of getting a Bermuda property. That's a nice bonus. That's fun. But of course, we also had property drawings up in the rewards for burning our block explorers as well. So those are worth noting as well. But again, go up and read yourself if you'd like to do so. Early in the week, we went over things in detail. Blossom season sees the opportunity. That's a couple last things here, and that is tied in the rest of the season. We also know racing's ongoing. We know that's going to carry into the middle of May. So for that, that's our update. That's our looking forward. And I'm looking forward to having more information to put out tomorrow. I'm looking forward to telling you how excited I am about the one or multiple events or activities to participate in to get some points on the Sparklet platform, the airdrop platform. I am excited to be able to have that news for you tomorrow. But for tonight, thank you so much for being here. As always, for those who are in the Upland Discord Cafe, please feel free to open your mics, unmute, be part of the conversation. The floor is yours.